Well, it should be no surprise to any of you out there that the cost to heat your home is going to be through the roof this winter. The cost of all those home heating commodities, diesel, natural gas, propane, electric, even wood pellets, because wood pellets are also a commodity. The cost of all those items are going to be at or near all-time highs, unfortunately. Oil's come down a little bit recently, but who's to say it's not going to go up or go even higher? One of the wonderful things about processing your own firewood is it's a commodity. Well, it technically is a commodity, but it's something that you can manufacture on your own, and the government doesn't have control over the pricing. Of course, if you do all the work yourself. Now, there always is the question, what's it worth? Is it worth your time? How valuable is your time? You know, could you make more money doing your own work and just having wood shipped in? You know, that's something to always consider, but for me personally, it's something I love to do. It's relaxing, it's a good way to get out of the house, clear your mind. And at the end of the day, you know, in the back of my mind, I'm saving hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on heating costs. But anyway, enough with that. Topic of today's video, I'm going to teach you how to make your own kindling. You go to the store, you can buy kindling, fire starter logs, but let me tell you, after a while, if you're burning a lot of fires, that stuff gets pretty expensive. So typically what I do, I'll take a roll of newspaper, take some of my homemade kindling, I'll get that fire going in a couple minutes. So what do you need to do to make your own kindling? Well, the first thing you need is some scrap wood. This is just some scrap wood that I've collected throughout the year. First thing we're going to do, take this outside to the miter saw, compound miter saw, and we're going to cut this in between 6 to 8 inch lengths. So let's go do that, and then we'll meet back in here. Before we continue on in this video, I just want to talk about leather gloves. This has been bothering me for some time, so I like VGO gloves. I've been buying these a while. I don't have a paid sponsorship by the company or anything like that, but I used to love their smooth leather gloves because the dexterity on these gloves is incredible. The problem with the smooth leather on the outside of the glove is anytime you come into any sharp object, sharp piece of metal, it protects your hand, but it just ruins the glove. It doesn't take much. Hole there, 3 holes. All in the right hand. I have like 5 left-handed gloves with no righties because these, you know, I'm right-hand dominant, and that often comes in contact with sharp objects and the glove fail. But anyway, VGO also makes leather gloves that have the rough leather facing out. And let me tell you, I've had these gloves for about 8 or 9 months now and put them through their paces, and I don't have any holes in these gloves yet. So if you're going to buy leather gloves and you're not doing very particular stuff and you don't need to have perfect dexterity, buy gloves with the leather that faces out. Yes, dexterity not as good as the smooth skin leather gloves, but these are just awesome. So now let's get back onto the topic of this video. How do you make kindling safely and quickly? Well, after you cut the pieces into the proper length, which again I like to go between 6 and 8 inch lengths, from here, get yourself one of these benchtop vices. This is simple because this just screws right onto the welding table. I can take this off anytime. I don't need a vise. And I have an old axe head here. Notice that I keep it covered when I'm not using it, but I have an old axe head that I keep right in the vise. And then from here, take my pieces, use a hammer. A little bit rusty. So I like to split it that way, bring it back the other way, long ways. There you go. 4 pieces of kindling. And then what I like to put the wood in, these are old planter buckets, and I use these year after year, and these are just great. So what I'll do, I'll set 2 pieces of wood on the table so this bucket isn't rolling around. Put my pieces of kindling in right there, and you can get moving pretty quick. Now, why do you want to go this way? Have a fixed axe head as opposed to doing it the traditional method of taking a heavy, cumbersome axe and trying to carefully split wood this way. Let me tell you, trying to carefully swing a little axe or hatchet like this is pretty dangerous. Ask me how I know. If you take a look at that hand, I don't know if you can see it, but I actually cut my thumb open right there. I'm very fortunate that I didn't do any serious damage. It required a couple stitches, but you can still faintly see the scar right there. And that was from exactly doing this task. I was wearing a pair of gloves, cutting wood like this and I missed. Axe went right into my thumb right there. Thankfully didn't cut the bone or any tendons or ligaments or anything like that, but took a couple stitches and that's when I stopped using the axe. Now, the biggest danger with having an axe fixed in a vise like this is if you're drunk and you're stumbling around and you don't have this covered and you trip and fall on this, that could be a problem. So that's why when I'm not using this, I keep it covered or take it off the table. Now, another thing you'll notice here is that I have a grocery basket underneath this fixed axe. So every so often, I'll be cutting a piece. I'll do this intentionally just to show you, but I'll be splitting a piece and it'll want to fall backwards. By having this little grocery basket here, probably 90% of the pieces that go off the wrong way, off the edge of the wedge, they get caught in this bucket, so it's bending down and picking up tiny little pieces. So now I'm going to start going full speed here. I always recommend you wear some safety glasses. Good idea to wear some hearing protection too. So let's start going full speed here and let's see how fast I can get going here. 1, 2, turn it sideways, have it sit against the face of the axe, and you can split this the other way. And you get it most of the way through, push to one side. There you go. 6 pieces of kindling. Of course, I'm showing you how to do this, so it's not going to be as fast, but you get the idea. Let's do this again. See that? I don't think you can really beat that. Pretty darn quick. It's not always going to work out perfect. As you can see, this piece had some knots in it. That's fine. Could use some larger pieces too. Now when the bucket starts to get almost completely full, I'll stand it up, give a couple taps down on the table. From here you normally can get another couple pieces in there. Now if you'd like, you can try and shove these pieces down in the little nooks and crannies, or if you want, which I've actually started doing this, you can just throw those pieces right on top. So you've got some little odd pieces, small scrap pieces in this basket. So for these pieces, I'll just throw them right on the top. Might as well try and make the surface kind of uniform. There you go. It's a bucket of kindling ready for winter, and this will probably last me about 2 weeks. Now, I'm really surprised that they haven't come out with a piece of technology that really can produce kindling quickly, like, I don't know, for the commercial firewood salesman. I always thought about building like a miniature box splitter that could split pieces of wood like this into kindling, just with like a small hydraulic ram or pneumatic ram or something like that. Maybe that's something I'll try and make one day, but for right now, I think this is a good, quick, efficient way to make kindling. Now, they do make some other kindling products out there. I don't know if you've ever heard of a kindling cracker, but it's basically the same concept of having an axe head fixed in a vise, except I think it's one cast piece. But the biggest difference between this and the kindling cracker is the kindling cracker has a safety ring just above the head of the axe. So the idea is that, you know, as you're hammering down your piece of wood, if you hammer on your hand accidentally, that safety ring should in theory prevent your finger from getting in between the axe head and the hammer head. You know, probably a little bit safer, but I think most people don't want to spend $100 on that when they could just take an axe head they have laying around their shop or a piece of metal they have laying around their shop and just put a sharp edge on it and do something like this. Let me tell you, this bucket in the back makes a big difference. It saves a lot of bending over and picking up. And I think that's that. Definitely a lot safer than using your traditional hatchet head. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Let me know how you split kindling. Also, at the end of the day, especially if you have kids wandering around the shop, when you're done using this, just loosen up the vise and take the axe head out of the vise and put it down somewhere safe.